For those who aren't familiar, Zombies is Disney Channel's latest movie series. It's basically their creative attempt at exploring themes of prejudice, using zombies, werewolves, and eventually aliens as stand ins for real world marginalized groups. The first movie focuses on zombies facing discrimination and trying to find acceptance among the humans. The second introduces werewolves and then eventually aliens. And now next month, they're releasing their fourth installment called Zombies Dawn of the Vampires. Now, overall, the zombie movies are pretty solid. Zed is easily the most standout character in all three films. He's funny, charismatic, determined, and he honestly carries a lot of the emotional weight in every movie. But here's the thing, if the series is meant to be about prejudice, I wish they would have leaned into it more, right? Especially in the sequels. The first movie does a pretty good job at it, but the second and third seems like they just wanted to make it more about high school drama than actually continuing the social commentary. And with zombies already being pretty much accepted into society, they needed a new group to discriminate against. And this is when they introduced the werewolves. But it kind of feels like the werewolves are kind like they're just there to keep the outsider versus society tension going. And it seems like they're more of a B plot to justify the metaphor rather than a meaningful reflection on real world prejudice. And it's a missed opportunity. The werewolves could have been used to explore new angles of discrimination, like cultural erasure, stereotyping, etc. But the movies mostly treat them like they're edgy newcomers with great fashion sense and like a love for howling. So that's why I'm starting off with Zombies 2. The first one pretty much gets the job done, but 2 and 3 feel like they sidestep the heavy themes in favor of school elections and cheer tryouts, and a lot of it feels like it focuses on Addison most of the time. And if we're going to remake this series with a stronger message, then this is where pretty much we need to begin. So Zombies 2 kicks off by giving us added lore to the origin of Seabrook, of how the first settlers fought off mysterious beasts in the forest, and they found a powerful energy source that ended up hiding from these mysterious beasts. Fast forward to present day, Zed is telling us how the town finally scrapped their anti-monster laws and things seem to be going very well. But there seems to be a lot going on in the school. There's a school election happening that Bucky wants to run for. There are cheer trials for a new captain. And they're about to have this prom-like event that they call prawn, like a shrimp because their mascot is a shrimp. But Zed wants to ask Addison to the dance, but he tries to do this grand gesture and it all goes wrong and he causes the bus to crash. After, Addison wants to go and look for him and she ends up in the forest. And then in the forest, she discovers like a new group of people. She discovers werewolves in the forest. Now, I don't know how she knew they were werewolves. Throughout the movie, they never actually change into werewolves. We're just supposed to believe that they are. Now, the werewolves see that Addison has all white hair, and they think that Addison might be this grand figure called their great alpha because of this all white hair, and their grand alpha is supposed to have all white hair. Now, the town finds out and the town starts panicking, and then the mayor reinstates the anti-monster laws, which for some reason doesn't really get the zombies kicked out of school, but it just causes them to not be able to go to prom. Now, eventually, the werewolves transfer into the school. That way, they have an easier time investigating Addison to be their great alpha and to try to find their great moonstone. As time goes by, they eventually give Addison a fully charged moonstone and try to convince her to join their pack. But once she puts on the moonstone, nothing happens, and she's not the great alpha they're all hoping her to be. As things escalate, the humans want to blow up the power plant to where the zombies came from. So the werewolves go and try to stop them because they think they're Great Moonstone is under the building. But things don't go as planned, and the power plant gets blown up. Now, even though the plant is now destroyed, they manage to recover the Moonstone, and peace is restored. Now, zombies, werewolves, and humans can now go to prawn together, while Addison embraces her true identity. Teased in the end by a final twist, is telling us that she might not be entirely human. So, like I said before, the movie's biggest attraction just seems pretty secondary to whatever drama they added to the movie. And I think what I've come up with can better present the theme of prejudice and progress that they are trying to depict in the movie. To give a general idea of the changes I want to make, I want the story to reflect more real world prejudice and experiences that people of marginalized groups had to go through. So I want to make Willa, the leader of the werewolves, more like Malcolm X. I think that's very appropriate for the movie. He advocated for black self determination, racial pride, and the need for black communities to protect themselves from white aggression, sometimes using the phrase by any means necessary. And Malcolm X's rhetoric emphasized the importance of black people taking pride in their heritage and standing up for their rights, even if it meant challenging the nonviolent approach advocated by some other civil rights leaders. I think this would be perfect for Willa, especially since she already clashes with Zed, and it would be a good parallel to clashing ideologies like MLK and Malcolm X. And then I want to try my best at avoiding Addison's self-identity crisis in the movie. It feels like in all three movies, Addison is just trying to insert herself into these groups, right? When she really only fits into one of them, the aliens, obviously. So I just want to keep the focus mostly on Zed versus Willa. And I just want to make it clear I'm not overhauling the movie. I just want to fix what they want to do and execute it in a better way. Basically, I'm just making a few tweaks, some parts more than others, to make it a better movie. Also, I'm not any sort of professional. I'm not bound by financial limits, deadlines, and I don't have to answer to any higher ups, and I have the benefit of hindsight. I'm just a guy giving my creative opinion. So we open with that same extended lore of how the settlers first came to Seabrook and fought off mysterious beasts and discovered a powerful energy source. They hid it from those beasts and built their own town on top of it. Zed gives a quick rundown of how Seabrook's been changing and how zombies are more included in society, and then Addison is back from cheer camp excited about the new inclusive environment. Bucky is still all about himself and announces he's running for class president. Then, as the students head back from cheer camp, everyone's hyped for prawn. Zed prepares a big romantic gesture to ask Addison to go with him, but before he can, the cheer bus crashes into him and veers off into the woods. Addison runs off into the woods to try and find Zed. Then she starts to hear howls in the forest and starts to see shadowy figures. She thinks she sees someone turn into a wolf, so she panics and runs. She bumps into Zed and tells him what she thought she saw. When word gets out, the town freaks. The mayor reinstates the anti-monster laws for safety, which doesn't keep the zombies out of school, but it does ban them from prawn. Zed wants to fight it, so he runs for class president against Bucky, hoping to make a change from the inside. We cut back to the forest and we see wolves running towards a certain area in the woods. We see the wolves turn back into humans, and then this is where we meet Wyatt, Willa, and Winter. Wyatt returns with a wanted poster made by Zoe, warning that the humans saw them. Willa says they shouldn't worry about it and that the humans won't come looking. Wyatt suggests that the girl they saw is the Great Alpha due to her all-white hair. Wyatt suggests that they go get Addison to try and ask for help because others in their pack have been getting sick because their moonstone necklaces have been losing power. Willa just shuts it down. She doesn't trust the humans. She thinks they are disconnected and arrogant. She wants to protect the pack no matter what and not risk anyone's safety. She doesn't want what happened to their ancestors to happen to them. She wants the wolves to be self reliant and not worry about outsiders, even if they suspect Addison of being the great alpha. But after checking on their sick, she concedes. Willa agrees that they'll go to Seabrook and search for the Moonstone and this great alpha, but she warns the rest of her pack to defend themselves if they need to. We move back to the school, and Zed and Bucky are announcing they're running for president. When the wolves show up, things get tense. They demand the return of what's theirs, but no one knows what they're talking about. They're also wanting to retrieve Addison. Willa tells the wolves to start wrecking the place if no one cooperates. They just want what they came for, and they'll leave because they know how Seabrook feels about them. Addison suggests if they enroll in the school, maybe they can find what they're looking for without more conflict. They make the offer, and Willa is hesitant, but Wyatt says if they accept, they could be free and look around town for the Moonstone. The werewolves accept, and the chaos ends. Addison tries to explain to them how Seabrook High is more inclusive, and they should fit right in. The day continues with Zed campaigning for president. Winter says to Willa at least they allowed them in and how it's nice for them, but Willa sees right through it, calling their offer performative. She tells the pack to stay alert. The werewolves gather books from the library to try and find anything about the whereabouts of the Moonstone, but while reading, they find lies about their ancestors written in the books. Willa delivers a powerful line. They took our power, they buried our story, stole our land, and now they want to welcome us into their schools. She makes it clear that they came there for the Moonstone, not for peace treaties. Later, Zed and Eliza try to get the wolves' votes. Eliza says zombies were outsiders too once, but Zed helped change that. Zed tells them they should follow the zombies' lead and try to fit in. Willa isn't having it. She sees Zed as weak, someone who's lost who he is to try and make humans comfortable. And while the zombies try to hold themselves back, their werewolves embrace who they truly are, and that's reflected in their Moonstone necklaces. And Willa says just because Zed walks beside the humans and wears their school jackets, they still see him as a monster. Zed continues campaigning and wants to make sure people don't lump zombies and werewolves together. The werewolves go look at the cheer practice, and Addison gets them to participate to try and make a connection with them. Zed walks in on them and catches Addison having some type of intimate moment with Wyatt. Zed and Addison have an argument about how the wolves don't want to try and acclimate to their society, and Zed accuses them of only being there for Addison. Addison says the election is causing Zed to lose himself, and that Zed is jealous of how the wolves are unapologetically themselves. She mentions how he's asking them to conform and get rid of their own values and personalities. And then she just walks away. Now, we're going to skip her identity crisis song just to try and keep the focus on Zed versus Willa, like I said before. That night, the wolves take Addison into the woods and tell her their version of history, the legend of the Great Alpha and what actually happened to their ancestors. They believe Addison could lead them back into power, so they offer her a fully charged Moonstone necklace to see if she can turn into a werewolf. Now, instead of immediately buying into it, she's flattered but skeptical. Willa makes it clear that if she accepts this, there's no middle ground. She'll have to prioritize the wolves over anything else. Now, Addison, she is not really sure if she can really abandon her values. And another wolf reminds her while she's trying to figure herself out, the other wolves are dying. Now Zed is lurking around. Once he sees Addison leave, he confronts the wolves and accuses them of trying to manipulate her to try to see their violent ways of being actually justified. Willa fires back. She says Zed gave up everything to please the humans, but she'll protect her people by any means necessary. The next day is the big debate. Before it starts, Zed tries to stop Addison from helping the wolves. Zed says they stand against everything they fought for. She says they asked for her help, and it's her choice how to give it. She then leaves and runs into the wolves. They ask if she's made her decision since they're ready to go after the Moonstone now. She accepts, but when she opens the case, the fully charged Moonstone is missing. The wolves get angry, doubt her identity, and choose to go alone. She insists that she can still help, but they choose to go without her. Addison urges them to avoid violence, but they say a true alpha wouldn't hesitate. Now, during the debate, Zed seems to be winning until his Z-Band malfunctions because he was the one who stole Addison's necklace, and it seems to be causing some type of interference. He loses control and the room erupts into chaos. Though he's quickly stabilized, the damage is done. People now see him as dangerous again. After this, Addison finds Bree and tells her the wolves are heading to the power plant to take the Moonstone by force. She tells Bree to help her gather everyone to prevent any fight from going on. From here, scenes basically play out like they do in the movie. The werewolves storm in, they get hit with Kaleido Silver, and everything seems to be falling apart until Addison and Zed and everyone else come in to help the werewolves fulfill their purpose. The werewolves are happy to see everyone fighting for them. They convince Zed's father to call off the demolition and tell everyone to come back the next day. Later outside, Zed tells Addison he lost the election and gives her back the necklace. Zed says that he didn't want her becoming a monster and losing her in the process. Addison is upset that he doesn't trust her to make her own decisions and prevent her from helping someone. She puts on the necklace, but unfortunately she's not a werewolf. Still, Willa and the pack thank her. She may not be one of them, but she fought hard for them anyway. Just when things seem settled, a worker says a demolition remote short circuits. The power plant collapses, and the Moonstone is thought to be lost. The werewolves begin to weaken. The night of Prawn, Zed approaches the werewolves. He apologizes for the demolition of the power plant, but promises progress is still worth fighting for, and fighting humans won't solve anything. They say at this point, it'd be a losing battle. Willa admits that she actually misjudged him. Zed isn't weak, he's just different, and that he showed her that it's possible for different people to actually stand together. But even if it was just for a moment, humans still see zombies and werewolves as monsters. Zed actually agrees, and it shows that he actually wants to just embrace who he is. The zombies and werewolves decide to crash Prawn, despite the laws. And then, like here again, it plays out like in the movie. Zed goes to apologize to Addison, and then all of a sudden, everyone hears a big boom, and then the ground starts to break apart. They go through the cracks and find the Moonstone. Everyone bands together to retrieve it and carry it out, and Zed even uses his zombie strength to open a path for them. The movie ends with everyone dancing and celebrating and embracing each other and accepting each other, but also with a cliffhanger. Addison's story isn't over yet. It shows that she might not entirely be human. So that's the story I came up with. I know it's still not perfect, but I like to think I better depicted their original ideas. The zombie series has a creative concept and it is decently executed, and I can't wait to watch what they do for the fourth one. Let me know if you guys like my changes, how you would tweak my changes, and tell me how you would have changed the original. If I get enough ideas, I want to make a whole video like as a follow-up showing and expanding upon the ideas I see in the comments. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I really like doing these videos, and I love hearing others' ideas. Thank you, and have a nice day.